If you die tomorrow, and I hope you don't, what would you feel you have given your best to?
I think of so many things. I like to think I give my best to everything I do. It's I like to think that I strive for excellence, however small the task, so you don't do shoddy work.
Yeah.
That comes from my mother's upbringing again. I keep mentioning my mother. My mother was so very particular. So if you don't fold the bed sheet absolutely perfectly when you make the bed, which she had taught us when we were 11, she would come on an inspection. What is this? Is this the way I taught you to make? Pull the bed sheet off and say, make it again. So then you start striving for perfection because you don't want them to do that. So then you're perfect in the way you fold the bed sheet. You're perfect in the way you keep your serviette. You're perfect in the way you keep everything. And that perfection then translates, and that's well aligned with my own spiritual beliefs as well. And so even when I was director of marketing for Janashakti, I used to say that we follow the 11th commandment. You must be familiar, you're a pastor, right? So you know the 10 commandments. But do you know the 11th commandment? What thou doest, do in style.
Sure.
In other words, don't do shoddy workmanship.
Sure.
Don't put your name to something which you have done knowing that it's not the best that you could have done.
Sure.
So I think if you ask me, and it's also for others to judge, I give the best I can to everything. So even if it's a church meeting, if it's a club meeting, if it's a board meeting, whatever, I try to be prepared, I try to be on time, I try to contribute. I don't lend my name. I won't be part of something if I can't actually attend and such things. So with everything, and so with the family. It's with work, it's with the family, it's with vocation, it's whatever. If you commit to something, do it properly. So even today I was having this conversation with my son who, just before a class you don't want to go and stuff like that. So what I have said is, and it's been with my other children as well. My daughter was when she was 13, she was doing netball and 5:30 or something practice. So I said to her, I will drop you on the condition that you cannot cut practice. If you commit to something, you have to be regular. You have to do it as best as you can. And so if you ask me which area of my life I have been particularly good with, that's left to the recipients to judge. But have I given my best?
Sure.
To the best of my knowledge? Yes.
It-
I think that's all that can be expected of anyone.
It's so interesting that, all through our conversation you've talked about your mother quite a few times, and it's so interesting because everyone knows your father, and in society your father is viewed as very successful and all of that. So I think it's quite telling that you mentioned her so many times.
No, as I said, I was brought up in a single parent home. So my father was this larger than life figure. You probably know he's actually not just Sri Lanka cricketer, he's called double international. He played hockey and cricket for Sri Lanka, sportsman, selector, involved in all of these things, and yet successful in his career and all of those things. But it's my mother who ran the house, the
Sure.
household ran like clockwork. We were brought up with a timetable, we followed that timetable to perfection. I was telling my son yesterday, we were allowed to go to bed late on Friday and lie in on Saturday. So on Friday nights, we were allowed to play cards and such things, go to bed at 9 o'clock and wake up at 6 o'clock on Saturday. What a treat! 6 o'clock on Saturday. Because other days, 5 o'clock and 5:15 we had to be at our desk to study. And my mother will be seated there making sure that we were studying. So yes, all of our interactions, our belief system, our morals, our ethics, all of it is greatly influenced by my mother, who made sure that we put it into practice. My father probably practiced it and was this larger than life image, but physically he was not there to inculcate it. It's my mother who drilled it into us. She's the kind of mother we say that when she shouted at us, the neighbors' children brushed their teeth and stuff like that.
Sure.
That was my mother.
Sure. So no regrets whatsoever?
No. If I did have a regret, it's the fact that I didn't go to St. Thomas's, but that is more due to circumstances and whatever. So I did my A-levels at 16 and I tried to convince my father then that I should go into college at 16, having finished my A-levels, to do A-levels again. And of course, the language was a problem, so I said, I'll do English. I will do French. And I'll do logic, because I was told that logic is very easy and that language doesn't matter so much. I had no clue what logic was. So, that perhaps is a regret, because that might have been an avenue to play cricket at the sort of level that we would have liked to play. But such is life. So I don't live life with regret.
Sure.
Many things could have been different, many things could have been better, but then you take it for what it is, you live it as best as you can, then enjoy every moment of the journey. There's no destination, there's no target. If you had a target, until you get to the target, you're not satisfied.
Sure. And sometimes you get to the target and then you realize it's not as good as you thought it was.
It's never.
Yeah.
It's to enjoy the here and now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's essential. So you enjoy every moment of the day. Whatever you do, you enjoy doing it. My father used to say, my father works very hard, and he says, I'm not working hard, this is fun for me.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying myself. And if you enjoy yourself, you haven't worked a day in your life.
Sure. I think that's a good place to end. Thank you so much for your time, Ramesh.
Great.
I could see Harim like having palpitations when the birds are listening. Somebody jump in the pool.
Somebody jumped in the pool.
Someone ringing the bell.